Please welcome Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Good morning, Democrats. You know, I just returned from Washington, D.C., where President Biden gave a great State of the Union speech that denounced the Russian invasion of Ukraine and gave his declaration of support to Ukraine. President Biden has demonstrated strong support for voting rights, and he certainly understands the importance of the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, that is H.R. 4, that could prevent Trump-dominated states and right-wing conservatives from passing voter suppression laws. Black Americans must continue the work of the civil rights movement led by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., and dedicated freedom fighters such as Andrew Young, John Lewis, Jesse Jackson, Dorothy Height, and Fannie Lou Hamer, who sacrificed and persevered to pass the Civil Rights Act in 1964 and the Voting Rights Act in 1965. And they kept up the fight to protect these rights that were won through struggle and sacrifice, and we must all continue to do the same. Blacks in this country truly understand that when we vote, we win. Blacks turned out and showed up and voted in unprecedented numbers for Barack Obama. Blacks continue to increase the number of elected officials of color at every level of government. Blacks have won races in some of the most southern states, such as Georgia, which sent a black man to the United States Senate, Raphael Warnock. And they came within a hair's breadth of capturing the governor's seat for Stacey Abrams. Blacks are on the front lines fighting for justice and equality and ensuring this country lives up to the guarantees afforded in the amended version of the Constitution of the United States of America. The Congressional Black Caucus is now 56 members strong in the Congress of the United States of America and represents more than 92 million Americans, which is 25% of the United States population, and are chairs of 6 of the most important committees in Congress. For example, representing Education and Labor, Bobby Scott; Greg Meeks, Foreign Affairs; David Scott, Agriculture; Etta Bernice Johnson, Science, Space, and Technology; Benny Thompson, Homeland Security; and yours truly, Auntie Maxine, on Financial Services. Does all of this matter? Well, it certainly does. As chair of the Financial Services Committee, I overcame the big banks using their influence to direct money to their concierge clients in our response to the pandemic. And I was able to provide the leadership to reorganize and appropriate $60 billion of PPP money that we were able to send to minority banks and community development financial institutions so that they could get that money out to small and minority business persons. Business people suffered mightily because of the pandemic, but we were able to respond under the leadership of our president, President Biden, to not only support our families and our children, but understanding that many of our businesses had closed down. Many of the small businesses didn't know where to turn, but we stepped up to the fight. My committee and I have been able to fight for money that we send to our states that ensures resources are available to deal with homelessness, assist renters, and increase affordable housing and home ownership. I was able to include $10 billion in the American Rescue Plan to assist struggling homeowners, and $1 billion of that I ensured was sent to California Mortgage Relief Program to help Californians save their homes. In addition to the money we send to states based on population, my committee included an additional $5 billion in response to the pandemic for homelessness. I've led the way in organizing $150 billion more for housing in the Build Back Better legislation that we're fighting so hard for now. The Republicans are working day and night against our ability to provide the kind of assistance and support to our states. But we don't back up. We don't stop. We keep moving forward. Now, does diversity make a difference? It certainly does. The inclusion of African Americans in decision-making roles certainly make a difference. And I created a subcommittee on diversity and inclusion in the Financial Services Committee, the very first in the Congress of the United States. And we're compiling data, and we are compiling this data on the hiring and contracting practices of the big banks, Wall Street firms, and government agencies. Now, the Republicans do not want to engage on these issues. They're fighting us every day. But Democrats are moving forward, and in the leadership are African Americans, people of color, black folks who understand how important it is for us to register and vote. Again, does diversity and inclusion make a difference? Just take a look at the tremendous work of Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, a black attorney general whose competence and hard work won the conviction and sentencing of the police officers responsible for George Floyd's death. And make no mistake in understanding, we now have a Vice President of the United States of America, a black woman, Kamala Harris. And now we have a nominee that has been put forth by the President of the United States to serve on the United States Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And this all happens because of the strength of our vote. We elect representatives of color who understand freedom, justice, and equality. Blacks must vote as if our very lives depend on it, because it is true. We must never be counted out. We must show up in the primary elections and in the general elections in 2022. In the words of Reverend Jesse Jackson, civil rights leader and former candidate for President of the United States, who said, and I quote, "If we fight, if we vote, we can win. If we don't vote and we don't fight, we will certainly lose." Everything is at stake, and the black community here in California are leading the way as an example of the kind of leadership that can inspire and speak to the successes we have won as a result of our commitment, our fight, and our struggle. We're very fortunate to have, as a chair of the Democratic Party in this state, a very competent, committed leader. Rusty, you are doing a very great job. Rusty, you are providing the kind of leadership and support. And I am so pleased that you work so well with our Black Caucus right here in the state. I want you to know, because of your support and the strength that you've helped to provide to our caucus, our Black Caucus, right here in the state of California, the Black Caucus was in the leadership of supporting our governor when there was an attempt to get him out of office. There was an attempt to basically recall him for office. The black community, led by the Black Caucus, led by those who understand the importance of our vote, they helped to ensure that they turned out the vote so that Gavin Newsom could continue to be our governor. And so I'm very proud to be here today. I'm very proud to be a part of the Democratic Party of the state of California. And everything that I do every day is with the understanding that we must ensure that we provide leadership for the blacks in this nation, in this state, to be a real part of the decision-making and the leadership. Thank you all so very much, and thank you, Democratic Party.